Hey guys, what's going on? Sherman here. And I'm finally getting around to reviewing one of my favorite of all time blades. And that's really no secret. The ESEE Izula. Like I said, not really a secret, it's pretty well known. My second time actually recording this, because the first time, cut my finger open pretty bad. Looking through the viewfinder and I was putting one of those back in the sheath, and I completely missed the sheath and the blade slid right over my finger, so it was pretty interesting. Actually, I'll put that little clip of that video at the end of this video. So if you want to see it, watch this video all the way through to the end. So anyway, so like I said, you guys know how much I love the little Izula. I'll leave that one off in the background here with the custom tough thumb scales. I'm going to talk about this one since it doesn't have any scales. You can see the handle. See right there, there's a number. That is the serial number. That is not the model number. They're all serialized right up here, stamped into the blade. On this side, USA, ESEE knives. Nice it's made in the USA. It's not a deal breaker if it's not, but it's always nice when that is. So you have that. A very, very nicely skeletonized handle. And a nice little, what I call the pinky hole, because I like to grab it, put my pinky through that hole, and it really helps with cutting. You really get a lot more control with the blade that way. The edges are very nicely beveled, so there are no sharp or rough edges anywhere in this skeletonized handle. Very, very smooth all the way around, inside and out. You have this nice molded plastic sheath, not Kydex, but you can buy Kydex sheaths for this. I believe you still can off of the ESEE website. If not, I'm sure Gabco will hook you up. You have two holes right here. They're not eyeleted, they're just two holes and a slot right there for mounting a tech lock or molly lock, which can be found also on the ESEE websites. And you can also wrap cord around there and lash it to something. I'll throw in an annotation to the video on how to make an under the arm, over the shoulder carry method for this sheath. It's pretty neat. And then you have this big hole right there for carrying for a paracord necklace or a steel bead necklace, because this is intended as a neck knife. Of course, you can use it for anything, but it is marketed as a small neck knife. So that's how I carry mine. You can see the paracord around there. Also, if you notice on the inside of that hole, there's some gap right there, and that's for water drainage or whatever you get in the sheath. So that's pretty nice. The sheath's also textured. You can see those little slots. I don't really know what that's for. I guess traction. It's pretty nice. It is a retention sheath. There's absolutely no wobble up and down, side to side. A little bit if you really flex it, but none that you can hear when it's rattling around. So when you're wearing it, it doesn't flop all around. Another nice thing before I get to the blade that I love about this thing is how thin it is. This thing is super, super thin and low profile. You can't even really see the silhouette of it if you're wearing a shirt. Now if you're wearing like an undershirt or Under Armour, you might be able to notice it, but just with normal clothes, no. Super concealable, and if you wish to go that route. It's also nice to just put in your gear. I sometimes will stick this underneath the loop field in that little channel in my Remora. I can also do the same thing with my Sitka and FR1. Alright, let's get to the blade. It is a little stiff. The newer ones are stiff. My older one I've kind of broken in a little bit. But you have a little place right there you can push with your thumb. It's a lot easier to do when this has a cord wrap or handle scales on it. But you can also two-hand it. Look at that sexy blade. Nice full flat ground blade. Very, very pronounced belly, so it's excellent for a sweep cut. That is an excellent shape for slicing fruit, for like food preparation, slicing paracord, opening up mail, and whatnot. It's also really good for making notches out of wood. So it is, the entire blade is one big piece of 1095 high carbon steel, which is an excellent steel, more commonly used in fixed blades. I've actually never seen a 1095 folder, But that's because 1095 is a very, very hard steel, or very hard steel, not very, very, but it's pretty hard steel. And it's perfect for outdoor use, in my opinion, for a low cost. D2 would be a better option, but you pay a little bit more for D2. 1095 is pretty easy to sharpen, but it will hold that edge that you just sharpened for a really long time. It's just a very durable steel. But this blade can rust up super fast, so definitely keep it oiled. See in there? Keep the edge oiled. You can develop spots of rust even on that thick coating. It's just light spotting, and it's not that prevalent, but still want to keep this thing oiled. On this side, you see Izula stamped into the blade, along with the Izula, aka the Bullet Ant. And this is the Blade HQ exclusive, number 91. And there it says Rowan, and another Bullet Ant. Now it gets that is technically the Bullet Ant. The Bullet Ant is pretty much only indigenous to Peru, and Peruvian villagers call it the Izula or Izula, however you want to pronounce that. And I'm sure a lot of you know that the bullet ant gets its name because its bite can be compared to being shot. Now I don't know what that would feel like, thankfully, and would never want to, but I'm going to take their word for it. Also, the Izula ant is very small, but it's rugged and very tenacious. So that kind of fits the build of this knife. It's small, very rugged, it packs a nasty bite. You can see it in my hand, very small. The entire thing is right at 6 inches, probably about 6 1/8 inch overall. And I don't have very huge hands, I have long fingers, but here's my hand. Now they make an Izula 2, which has a little bit longer handle, and it comes with my Carta scales, but it only comes in black. You can see I put my pinky through there, and you get a lot more control with that blade that way. And you can let it hang, kind of like you would a karambit. Let it hang while you do whatever you want, and then bring it back up. You can also do the same thing if you had a lanyard wrapped around there. But like I said, very nice flat ground blade. A very strong tip. It's not going to do much in puncturing because it is a very thick blade. Very thick blade stock. 1/8 inch thick steel. But that makes this thing very durable for its size. You could actually pry with this thing lightly if you had to. A little bit of a run of jimping up there. Pretty shallow jimping. I'd like to have seen some jimping up here as well for added tip control, but it's not bad. That jimping is a little bit better than it looks, believe it or not, but it's still kind of slick. But that's mainly due to that really thick coating. Which I'm going to go to this guy. This is my older Izula in gray. You can see my ant is a little bit discolored compared to the other one. Here again, because of light rusting. But you can notice the coating a little bit better on this version. Looks like the surface of the moon. And it's almost like stippling. It's a very, very thick, rough coating. And you can notice just a tiny bit of discoloration right there. But I've done a lot of slicing with this blade, and the coating has not come off at all. The only spot it has a little bit of wear, has a little bit of sheath wear, right there by the ricasso, because the two studs inside the sheath that are molded into the sheath, right there you see one, top and bottom, that glides over the ricasso and retains the blade right behind that finger choil. This one's the older one. You can see as you push it in there. And that retains the blade very well. This is older. I've EDC'd this almost consistently since June. And you can tell a difference in the retention. You can hear the difference compared to this. This one's a little bit stronger, but like I said, I've used this one constantly for almost half a year. And it still doesn't have any rattle whatsoever at all. So I carry it around my neck. I sometimes will carry this in my pocket because it's so thin. It's so slim you can. And you don't even feel this around your neck, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm always honest in my reviews. I don't embellish at all. I don't buy into the hype. This knife, you can't even barely feel it around your neck. This stays flat against your body. It doesn't weigh you down. The knife inside the sheath only weighs 2.2 ounces. That's insane. 2.2 ounces. The Spyderco Paramilitary 2 weighs more than this knife inside the sheath. So you really do not feel this around your neck, which I like, because if I'm going to be carrying a slab of steel around my neck, I don't want to have to feel it. So ESEE did an amazing job with this because they give you a lot of knife without having it weigh you down. You get a lot of knife in a small package. Now both of these knives came razor sharp, straight from the factory. I mean hair popping sharp, straight from the factory. Very impressive. Deep finger choil right there so your finger won't slip forward, which I like because if you're not going to have a lot of jimping up here, you want some control down here at the bottom. You want to make sure your finger doesn't slide forward. So very nice, very slim, very thin. I would recommend cord wrapping the handle because under hard use this can get kind of uncomfortable and you don't get a lot of control. So for extra control, make sure you don't lose this thing, I would recommend a cord wrapped handle, which is easy to do. A ton of people have some tutorials online. I learned from the Lazy Spoiled Kitty. He has a great tutorial on it. So I recommend you checking that out if you're interested. These come in a bunch of different colors. This is a Blade HQ exclusive coloration. They call it Venom Green. They also have a Fire Ant Red version coming out soon. Knife Center has an orange version. And then of course in this, and just the regular non-exclusive, you can get it in that gray, black, OD green, desert tan, and pink if you like. There's also one version called the Liberty version, and it's blue and has a Statue of Liberty on it, where it normally says Izula. So, like I said, very nice, very hard use knife, very sharp, very light. But you do need to keep it oiled, especially the ant logo. Anywhere you see stamped into the blade, you need to keep that oiled very well. And you want to keep the edge oiled very well because this can rust up really, really quick. So, the only downside to this knife, in my opinion, is that it cannot whittle wood very well. Now it can notch wood if you're making like a fire bow. It will do that very well. It will notch wood like crazy. As you see back here in the background that they're laying on is a long piece of oak that I cut down when I was in the woods the other day. And it's about 4 feet long. You just can't see all of it, obviously. But I stripped all the bark off of it using my Mora clipper. And it's a much, much thinner blade. It's about a 1/16 of an inch thick. So, and it has a very, very shallow grind, whereas this grind starts very steep. So it bites into the wood very well, but it doesn't slice through the wood very well. But that's not a real issue with me. This knife is incredible for what its intended purpose is. I use mine as a utility knife, and it excels in that because it is strong and it's sharp and it's light. So highly recommend it. You can do anything in the world with this knife, just about. So very, very nice knife. Hope you guys enjoyed, and of course, if you have any questions, drop me a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer anything you guys have to throw at me. Alright guys, stay safe, stay sharp, and God bless. Sherman 614. Peace. Very solid. You can do it one-handed. I just stabbed myself. And this is why you should be very careful when putting your knife back in your sheath. Always watch what you're doing.